Hello, class. How are you? There's an article I saw in the recent issue of Chemical Engineering News: Northern Patagonian Rock Art from millennia earlier than expected. So one of the reasons why I love chemistry is that it's very useful and finds its way in many other different fields. So this one here, of course, is archaeology. So analytical chemistry techniques reveal human activities during the mid-Holocene. So we are in the Holocene right now. So the Holocene, it's about 10,000 years. Actually, I'm not sure. It's maybe 15,000 years long. It's an interglacial, so more or less, there's about 100,000 years of ice age and 10,000 ish years of interglacial, and we're apparently close to the end of an interglacial, so at least in a geological sense. So, but that doesn't mean that we're going to have an ice age tomorrow. Here are some cave paintings found in Argentina, and it appears they have been carbon dated, and they carbon dated that they were probably first decorated around 8,000 years ago, and so probably, I mean, we're dealing with carbon dating. So the idea with carbon dating is, and this painting here is plant based. So they used other types of spectroscopy, Raman spectroscopy, scanning electron microscopy, and that told the archaeologists or scientists that the material was plant based, and then they carbon dated it. So carbon has a half-life, or carbon 14 has a half-life of a little over 5,000 years. And you can take a sample back to a lab, and then they typically burn it with oxygen to form carbon dioxide, and then they put it into a balloon, and then they get the radioactivity of it. And then looking at the radioactivity of it, they can go backtrack to see how long it's been since that plant material has been dead. So prior to about 1940, we can date things that were once alive and no longer alive, and carbon 14 is made naturally in the atmosphere of the Earth. Nitrogen absorbs radiation from the sun and comes carbon 14. So that's one of the natural ways that carbon 14 is generated here on Earth, and then the carbon 14s turns into carbon dioxide, is upkept by plants to form glucose and various other alkaloids. And then other animals eat the plants, other animals eat the animals, and generally speaking, life on Earth, at least before the 1940s, as they were alive, had a pretty consistent amount of carbon 14, and that was more or less true throughout the ages. At least that's one of our postulates. So. And then, of course, when a living creature, a living thing is no longer alive, it stops photosynthesizing, it stops eating, and therefore the carbon 14 that's in there naturally decomposes. And from that, we know the half-life of carbon 14. So then we can, by large number statistics and probability, we can get a general idea of how long that living thing has no longer been alive. So the plant material that this cave painting is made on has no longer been alive for 8,000 years, or a little less, because from the article it says that it looks like the painting was retouched and whatnot from throughout the ages there. So I'm saying before 1940 because of nuclear power, and especially nuclear weapons. So we've detonated about 500 nuclear weapons in the atmosphere, and that's mostly United States and Soviet Union did that. we're about evenly split in the number of nukes that we've detonated in the atmosphere, and that, and combined with our nuclear power, that generates a little bit of carbon-14 as well. But then, because of that, the atmosphere has more carbon-14 now than it did back then, and it's less now than it was in the 1960s per se. So, like, if for me, if my parents were to be carbon dated versus I were carbon dated, the carbon dating would suggest that I was older than my parents. But that's just because my parents were closer to the atomic blasts, and then from me, and I guess yeah, you guys would probably be considered younger than you would be older than me if assuming that you're younger than your 40s, but that's not true for all you students, right? So who knows? So that's a general idea behind that with the carbon dating, and unfortunately, carbon dating is not going to work very well for living creatures moving forward. But we can do it before the pre-nuclear era, and it works pretty well. So, and the sun is relatively consistent as far as its output. I mean, it changes here and there, but it's fairly consistent. So I mean, there is a little bit of inconsistency, but not much. And there's also a little bit of inconsistency with the decay rate of carbon of any radioactive material, but it's the error is not very high. So it's because when like a mole is 10 to the 23rd of something, because we have such huge numbers when you deal with atoms of things, there's just the it becomes very unlikely that there is anything but the average when you look at large samples of that. So, okay, well, hope you enjoy the article, and hope you realize that there's more to life than just chemistry. There's and other things to study, like archaeology. It's very interesting, and also that chemistry is very useful and it's used in many different subjects. So that's why you're taking chemistry, is because it's useful and other people use it and other fields use it. So I hope you enjoy the article. I like articles like this as well. And I hope you have a nice upcoming weekend. I hope the week was a little shorter for you with the holiday. And if you're having any issues, please let me know, whether it's basic needs or mental health or academic issues. My class, of course, but other academic issues, let me know if you need a helpful hand in that or direction on what to do. So, okay. Well then, aloha.